order. Okay, I'd like to call the Merit Commission to order. It is Thursday, May 4th, 2003, 10 a.m. May I have a call? Roll call?
Okay.
Here.
Mr. Rodehaver.
Here.
Mrs. Wasey.
Here. I'd like to welcome our two guests. I can never remember names. Mr. Davis and our charge of street maintenance,
Mr. Dunn.
Mr. Dunn, and the police chief. Did we all get a chance to read the minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Any additions or changes?
Not sure.
As read. First item of business, Operator 1 and Operator 2 assessment, certify, and release. Amy, please advise.
I have a protest for Operator 2 exam, so I'll pass.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I can understand a little bit of confusion. However, why did he not question it at the time of the test? They are allowed to ask questions,
Yes,
correct?
correct. Yeah, he didn't ask for clarification, and on his submission, he wrote BAE, and it wasn't capitalized. So it wasn't like it was mistaken for an abbreviation. It was lowercase.
I'm having a difficult time evaluating whether the question is appropriate or not without having seen
Right,
the question in context. I
Right.
can't tell.
right. The type of question was put these in order. So it was a concrete question, how you would do this project in this, in what order.
So I got a question for you, Chris. So
You?
I'll spell it out while you're en route. So what would the process be for pouring a small pad or whatever or whatever context it was? I mean, what would be the
steps.
steps?
I mean, if you're talking about the whole job, you would need to assess the job, then assess the safety. If you're obviously in front of your house or whatever, you're going to have utilities marked.
And this is for Operator 2 level?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're out on a main road, it's the same way. I mean, you're the first thing you do is assess the job, then you assess the safety, and then you go through the removal of the concrete, and then you go with the whole process of what it takes to form it, base it, pour it, finish it, step by step scenarios.
So the steps that were listed,
Mm-hmm.
was there any doubt by reading the steps that this was not concerning pouring concrete?
Oh, absolutely not.
How many people took this assessment test?
That one, 3.
3. And the other 2 did get it, or they had no issues with that question?
They didn't address it with me. I don't know if they addressed it with you.
No, the other 2 candidates got the whole question correct.
So is BASE an acronym for something?
Base is just the material that you put in before you pour the concrete.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I may, is this some sort of sequence thing where they say, okay, put these in order, and you say, put down the base, fill it, finish it? Is that the kind of...
It's basically like, you're going to form it, and then you're going to put your base in, and you compact that base before
Right.
you pour the concrete on top.
Right,
You
if
would
I
never
was-
do that. You would never put the basin after the concrete or anything like that.
Absolutely. If
Yeah.
I was instructing someone
Yeah.
how to build a pie,
Yeah.
put the crust in, then the
Yeah.
filling.
Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory that that step would not work anywhere else in that process.
And there would be no acronym of BAE
No, not at all.
in that whole process. Okay.
I just think that might be like a typo.
All right, thanks, sir.
And one last question. Who, I know you set up the process, but who wrote the questions?
As far as
The
those,
assessment.
The assessment?
I came up with a big group of questions for them to use
Okay,
to make a test.
so technically it was a typo.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And they are allowed to ask questions during the process,
Yes. Yeah. Like,
and no
at the-
questions were asked?
No. At the first test, I had a couple questions that they needed just clarification on.
Okay,
But yeah, no, none for the assessment.
So according to the rules, page 9, section 8, under promotional exams, rule 11, it states, for the record, applicants for promotional exams may, within 5 calendar days of the conclusion of the examination, file protest of any examination question only on the grounds that a question does not fairly measure knowledge to meet such requirements. Protests will be filed on forms provided by the commission. Commission may take such action as it deems appropriate in regard to a protest. The decision of the commission as to a protest will be final and not subject to appeal. So, according to our rules, section 8 is a typo. So it's not really anything that went against, in my opinion, it didn't go against his knowledge of how to pour a pad or whatever context that question was in. And he had the opportunity to ask the questions to alleviate that issue at the time. I mean, he got his request in for in time for the protest, but I just don't see how it goes against our rules.
I don't either.
I'm inclined to believe that the question was relevant and appropriate for this examination. And while there was a typo, I'm not sure that that somehow makes the question ununderstandable. The question seems to be appropriate. The typo doesn't seem to me to throw the meaning of the question outside of where it should be. I'm not inclined to entertain the protest at the point.
I'm going to make a motion that we deny his request to remove the question. May I have a second?
I will second it.
And a roll.
Mrs. Wasty?
Yes.
Mr. Kempe?
Yes?
Mr. Rodehaver?
Yes.
Okay, item is to certify and release the operator 1 and operator 2.
Did you want to do these separately or together?
I'd like to do them separately.
Okay.
Because there's
Thank you, ma'am.
different numbers.
Operator 1.
Thank you. Mr. Dunn, are you satisfied with the scores?
He hasn't received them yet until you certify and release them.
Oh,
Right.
he hasn't seen the scores. Okay.
The green column is the first two tests combined. So the just like
I
the,
don't have green.
oh, the blue, I'm sorry. The blue column is the first two scores combined. The red column is the first written test, the assessment is the other third, and then the total are the two combined as a, third, with the interviewing be the other third.
Okay, and they have not done the interview.
Correct.
And I gather all 4 individuals will be interviewed? Okay. And how soon do you plan on having the interviews? Okay. Agreed.
Like a motion to certify and release the test scores for operator 1.
I'll second the motion.
And a roll, please.
Mr. Rodehaver?
Yes.
Mr. Kempe?
Yes?
Mrs. Wasty?
Yes. And this is operator 1.
Operator 1.
Okay.
Operator 2 that had the clerk.
Yep.
Thank you.
Catch you on your way by.
Okay. Any questions? And a motion to accept these scores as they are?
We need a certify and release. So
Right.
I move that we certify and release the
Two.
the operator 2 examiner.
Second?
Mr. Kempe?
Yes?
Mr. Rodehaver?
Yes.
Mrs. Wasty?
Yes. So now that the interviews can be scheduled.
Yes.
Okay. Any other business?
All right, so I have been trying to work on making a new position in our department, which would be called a facility groundskeeper. It would be taking one of our street maintenance worker positions and making it into this facility groundskeeper position. It would still be a union position and still require all the merit testing and all that stuff. The only change is this position wouldn't require a CDL license. They would be in charge basically of the flower beds, the grounds around all of our buildings to try to, pay more attention and detail to that kind of stuff. We lost Susie, one of our employees that was really good with taking care of all that stuff. And I would like to try to reach out and get somebody back in here that maybe has some knowledge with that stuff, some spray license that are required to use if you are a municipality. You have to be licensed. And I thought that this might be a good time to try to do that. So I was in talk with city manager and with Martina on that issue, and it says that I think was it 23-1? I think we have to notify Merit that we are going to possibly do that. As far as what is required of you guys, I think Mike knows more on that, but we're supposed to notify you before we can go forward with the TO and everything else that follows with that.
Mary, if I may, there are no requirements for merit, it's notification, or G creation of policy.
Mm-hmm.
Really what Chris is doing in simple terms is that we're looking to reclassify a position, put a focus on in outside facilities or city. It doesn't require the CDL. Next step in the process, city's perspective, so we've done the pay scale and we've done the job description. So at next week's council committee poll, we will have a discussion with council about modifying the table of organization, again, to relabel one of the street maintenance worker positions into this position. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll be seeking a modification to our table of organization. Ordinance approval, we would be doing it in a request, it's done by emergency, so they could, Chris can go ahead and get this position filled at spring, summer.
Now, have you done all the requirements? Like you said, you wanted them to be able to use certain sprays that are required for maintaining So I didn't know if there were specific requirements that they would have to apply? Or is it learn as you go?
So we have guys in the department now that have those license, which covers us. And it would be kind of one of those things to where we would push them as like a further education thing once they were here, to try to get them to go. If they don't have them already, I don't want to make it a requirement, but if they don't have them already, then that's something that we could use to further educate them and you know. And again, this position, there's been a change in the CDL license process now. Requires a lot of classroom time, a lot of drive time, and it's up close to $5,000 to obtain a CDL license now. So in order to kind of keep us off of the hook of having to pay for that, this position, if they wanted to promote to a street maintenance worker position, it would be on them to require their CDL license to be eligible to promote to that position. If they choose not to promote and we have a position come open, then we would advertise a street maintenance worker position requiring a CDL to apply. And then that way, either way, whichever route we go, then the city is not, you know, really responsible for them obtaining their CDL. We put it back on them.
So basically, to fill this position, you're looking at doing it from in-house?
I don't know, I mean, that would be a decision we could talk about, if we would want to give that person a chance to promote up to street maintenance worker, or if they would just be eligible to apply with everybody else, you know, if that position came open. I don't really know if that's ever been done before, internal promotions without going out, you know.
I believe it has.
I mean, with it only being one position, I'm guessing there's really no competition there. I mean, if they take the test, pass it, and go through the process, then they would just move up.
Well, if it's just one person, they wouldn't have to test.
Okay, so that's why I don't.
But if, because it has to be competitive, there's nobody to compete against.
Yeah.
Whereas from in-house, like I said, if it's just one, if it's two, yeah, we would have to do some form of promotional test
Yeah.
to sort through them. But if you have somebody who's definitely interested in it, and that we could move them from one position to that position without going outside, because if we go outside and one of your guys or women apply, then now they're competing against all the other people instead of trying to promote from within.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with them moving up if they get all the requirements and move up, and then we hire back into that facility grounds keeper
But, you know,
position.
that's however you want to do it. But if you're going to go outside, or if more than one person wants it, then we would have to do the advertising and
Yeah.
have a whole write-up.
I mean, if it's okay.
That might be the end goal anyways, because the groundskeeper position may not want to, they may not.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it would depend on the opportunity could be presented on them, whether expectations, certification, required.
But it would almost be a lateral.
I just have a curiosity question. Would
Yeah.
you prefer them already be licensed for spray, or would you have them licensed after they're on their hire?
Not necessarily. I mean, if they have it already, that's fine. It's something you have to renew like every 2 years anyway.
Right.
So if they have it, that's fine. My thing is there's a lot of people out here, like with the landscaping companies and stuff, that, you know, have all this knowledge with this stuff, the license and everything. They get laid off in the wintertime.
Yep.
They don't have benefits. So I think that this would be a really like attractable job to a lot of those people that would really benefit us, help them. And if they love that type of work and they want to stay in that position, then fine, we'll just go advertise for a street maintenance worker when it comes available and hire straight into there requiring a CDL. If, however, this person does want to promote, they get all the requirements, I don't have a problem with them moving up to that position and then hiring back in at the facility groundskeeper position, which would be an entry level.
I wanted to make one other comment that I left out too, is there's been preliminary discussions already with the union. Mr. Dunn has had those and it's been well received. And as part of the end process on legislative approval by city council, we would enter an MOU with the union for modification necessarily to take the street maintenance worker counts. So we've kind of followed all steps. Mike,
Just trying to keep everybody, you know, in on it. So.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. But if you would decide to go outside the city and we need to advertise, feel free to have Amy contact us, and we could have a earlier meeting than just once a month.
So if this position goes through, we would still need to advertise that position, right?
If,
Go ahead.
if it's from outside,
I mean, because this will be from outside. The first one will be
yeah,
from outside.
we'll need to advertise it. But then you'll have to, let Amy know the pay scale and all the requirements to apply for this job. And if we could, if that's the route and it's all approved, we don't have to wait until June 1st. Right. Okay. 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 Any other business? Meeting adjourned at 10:21.